Hello and welcome to episode number 80 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm with your host, Dan.
And I'm Jim. And today we're going over the Marvel problem. That was Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap problem.
That was a snap for you. For you people at home who were just listening, that was a snap.
That was a snap.
A very bad snap. It was a terrible snap, too. I mean, I guess it works. All right. Before we get into it, we're going to talk about our sponsor, Amazon Audible. If you head over to our affiliate link, www.audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. I swear I forget it every time, dude.
It's all right.
It's like every time.
That happens.
audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. Sign up for your free 30-day trial of Amazon's Audible service, and you get a free book. So Audible is Amazon's audiobook service. Sign up. When you sign up for that free 30-day trial, you get a free book. That's right. 1 free credit added to your account. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you get 2 free books added to your account. So follow that link down in the description, click it, sign up for your free 30-day trial. You can cancel at the end of the 30 days if you don't like the service, but you get to keep those free credits on your account. And you know what? Do yourself a favor, get a Gary Vee book. I will never stop talking about Gary Vee and all of his books. Have you started listening to yours yet, Jim?
Yes.
How's it
I
going?
listened to like the first 2 chapters. But I think I need to get the physical book as well.
Do you like that? Do you like getting physical books?
If I have the audiobook and the physical book and I'm listening and reading it, it keeps me so much more engaged into it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. But before you do that, sign up for the free 30-day trial so you can get your audio book as well. Again, follow the link in the description, audibletrial.com/hobbies and happiness. Sign up for your free 30-day trial today. All right. So today, this is an interesting topic. I've kind of been wanting to talk about Marvel Snap for a little bit. If you're not familiar, Marvel Snap is a relatively new digital collectible card game from Second Dinner. Second Dinner is Ben Brode's relatively new company. Ben Brode is a veteran in the digital card game space. He was one of the original designers of Hearthstone.
Yeah. I remember when he left.
I remember when he left too. That was it was like a sad day in the digital card game space.
Yep.
He made such a name for himself throughout. I mean, he's had a pretty long career so far. But he rose to prominence, I think,
100%.
through Hearthstone and what he helped build there. So I can't remember when he left Blizzard, the Hearthstone project, and started this. But this released last year, at the end of last year. We'll get in the history here in a second. But yeah, so that's what Marvel Snap is. It's an extremely addictive, fast card battler. It's essentially classified as like a card battler, right? So what I wanted to do is kind of talk about the game. But there's some aspects of the game that I find very intriguing. I enjoy the game. However, within the past month or two, I've kind of like slowed down in playing the game. Like I used to play it like all the time. Yeah. And like the nice thing about those games is like they're 3-minute games. Like they take a very short amount of time. So you can literally play when you're sitting down and you've got like a couple of minutes, you can just play a quick game and then you're done.
Yeah,
right?
They're over in a snap.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Right? So so we're going to get to that after we get through kind of an overview of the game. So let's dive in here. All right. So Marvel Snap officially released, on October 18th after beta testing. I did some of the beta because the beta was only available on Google, on the Google platform. There we go. Okay. So I had an Android device, and then I downloaded an emulator so I could play it on my computer because I was extremely interested when I saw that initial trailer, and then when they showed off the game, like I gotta see if I can get in the beta testing on this. So I did. I enjoyed it. So players build decks that consist of 12 cards. 12 card decks. Like what would you think when you hear a 12 card deck?
That's not a lot of cards, Dan.
It's not.
It's not a lot of cards.
So, my first thought was, okay, what kind of card game are we talking about when we've only got 12 cards? Because, dude, that's not a lot of cards, dude.
Now, all right.
Yes. We'll get into it, but you can go ahead, continue.
Understood. Okay.
Continue.
Okay. I was going to say, yes, it's not a lot of cards, but when you think about other card games, right? And sure, it's 40, 50, 60 cards. But when we're talking about different number of cards, right? A lot of the times, if you're in a proactive deck, you're running as few different cards as you can, but maxed out copies of it.
Right.
So,
true.
If we turn the 12 into play sets of 3 or 4, whatever it is, then you're looking at 48. And on top of it, what if you have lands or whatever it is? So, yes, it's different, but it's not really different.
Well, you know what the rule of 9 is, right? Have you heard the rule of 9?
I know you've brought this up before. You have 9 different cards and you just max out all the copies of it, correct?
And then fill the rest out with lands.
Fill the rest, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like a beginner's guide essentially for deck building in Magic. It's like they kind of what they tell you is like you start with 9 cards. Pick 9 cards that you want to build a deck around, right? And then max out your copies. So if you got 4 copies of 9 cards, that's 36 total cards, right? And so if you're building a 60 card deck, fill the rest out with lands, and then that's 24 lands.
That's a lot of lands, Dan.
For a mono red player, it is.
I don't think I want that many. I'm like, the best I can do is 19. How about that?
Right. So, but it's like when you hear decks of 12 cards, like taken out of context, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Right. So again, like the first time I heard that again was very much out of context. So I'm like, this is so weird. So each card is essentially a Marvel character or an item in the Marvel IP. There are a couple cards that I know are like items that are in the game. And then so cards have 3 different things. Each has a cost, a power, and an ability. Not all have abilities. Like some are vanilla. Vanilla creatures with no abilities, right? But you're going to have cost, power, and then if they have one, it'll have an ability, okay? Now, the goal of the game is to have the highest power at 2 of the 3 total locations. There's 3 different locations. Players are essentially battling it out, okay? And each location has essentially 4 slots for each player. So each player can have a total of 4 cards at each location, okay? Now, Ty looks at the total power across every location, okay? So if I'm playing against Jim and Jim won the far left location, I win the middle location, and then the right location, we have the same amount of power. The way a tie is broken is we just total up our total power across the entire board. Whoever has the most power wins. Unless there's a special location in play, which would say the player with the lowest power at this location wins. Which there is one. I think it's not Luke's Bar, or maybe it is Luke's Bar. I can't remember. Actually, no. I think Luke's Bar is the location where when you play a card, it gets bounced back to your hand, essentially. So when you, which again, I mean, if you play card games, like, like all of these terms are gonna be like, okay, I can see what I can probably do with this, right? But there is a location in the game, I can't remember the name of it offhand, where it's the player with the lowest power wins. Okay.
Anti-gravity.
No. Okay. I can't remember what it is.
I tried.
You did. Now, one other thing that's worth mentioning, again, if you've played the game, but if you don't, each turn, actually, I think I have it written down. Let me look. Yeah. So the game lasts 6 turns by default. Okay. So when you start a game, you don't know which each location is. Okay. They are all hidden. Okay. Turn 1, the left location gets revealed. Okay. Turn 2, the center location gets revealed. Turn 3, the right location gets revealed. So you can play a card in whichever lane you want. But if you don't know what those locations are, you could be setting yourself up for failure. Okay. So that's like each of these things just plays off of one another. And it's a lot of fun. Okay. Now, one other thing is players can wage what are known as cubes to earn more cubes throughout the game. Okay. So each player, it's kind of like poker. Okay. Each player brings 1 cube to the table at the start. Okay. Now, the winner would take 1 cube, okay? If I lose or if I quit, I'm out a cube. And if my opponent backs out, I'm up a cube, okay? last turn of the game, the total amount of cubes wagered doubles.
Okay.
Okay. Excuse me. Not total wagered, but whatever you're in gets doubled. Okay.
Okay.
So if neither myself nor my opponent antes up, at the end of the game on turn 6, there will be a total of 2 cubes that are being wagered. Okay. So if let's say Jim and I are playing, we get to turn 6, neither of us has chosen to snap or double. Okay. Turn 6 happens on turn 6, it goes from a total of 1 cube to 2 cubes. Okay. All right. So if I win at the end of that game, I take home 2 cubes. Jim is down 2 cubes.
Okay.
Okay. Now at any point throughout the game, you and your opponent have the option to ante up. Okay, which is snap, and then you are doubling your cubes. Okay.
Are these cubes currency in the game?
They're not currency. Okay. It's actually your rank. Okay.
Oh,
so that's your rank within the game. Okay. So it's anywhere from rank 0 cubes all the way up to 100 cubes. And then every 10 cubes is the next rank.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's what you're wagering. It's not currency, but it's your rank within the game. Okay. So anytime throughout the game, players can snap and then double the amount of cubes that are in. Okay. So if both players doubled, then the total amount of cubes you're playing for is 8. Okay. If I double and you don't double, the total amount at the end will be 4.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's either going to be 2, 4, or 8. At the last turn. Okay? If you back out before that, obviously it's going to be dependent upon who has doubled up to that point.
Right.
Okay. So if both players double before turn 6, that's going to be a total of 4.
Right.
Okay. So that's the poker part. Okay, that is added. So I mean, like it's bluffing, calling, right? It's all of those types of mechanics. Now it's interesting, right? Because in playing digital card games, right? What's the one thing, like from playing a TCG, that you eliminate when you're playing a digital game?
The cards.
Not the cards.
The cards.
No, but
physical cards.
Well, true.
Yeah. What the user error essentially?
Not the user error, but I don't have an opponent sitting across from me.
Okay.
So I can't read their reactions. I can't take facial cues. There because there's a lot that's there. I mean, you know just as well as I do. If we're playing a competitive game,
like I've said this before, there's like 3 levels of play when it comes to these games.
Exactly.
It's like know your stuff, know your opponent's deck, and then be able to read your opponent.
Reading your opponent. Yeah. Absolutely. So that's the inherent benefit of playing card games IRL.
I was more meaning like, maybe you just don't like shuffle your hand into your deck randomly.
Yeah. There's a lot, but I think the biggest thing that you eliminate when you go from IRL to digital is that human sitting across the table from you. Yeah. Because again, I am now at a loss because I don't have that information. Now it's not. It is a symmetrical loss because my opponent can't read me, right? However, when playing, like if I'm playing Arena, what I have to look at is I have to look at their play lines and I have to see what they're playing and what they're not playing, and I have to make inferences from there.
And how fast does it go back to your priority?
Correct.
When
Exactly.
Stuff is played?
Exactly.
Yeah. There's other things you have to notice.
Exactly.
It's not the same.
Right. But it's just. I think it does make you a better card game player because you have to notice more things.
Yeah.
Right. So you can look at it one of either ways. Like you can look at it as an advantage or you can look at it as a disadvantage. Take all the information that's available to you and then kind of filter your decision making and analysis through that lens, essentially. Okay. So this is like another way of doing that. Like, are they bluffing? Am I bluffing? Right. And then again, view it through that type of lens. Okay. So this mechanic is very, very interesting. Okay.
And you do that snap at the start of the 6th round?
Whenever you want to.
Okay.
Whenever you want. So if I wanted to, I look at my hand turn 1, I can snap.
Okay. I was more so meaning, so like you were saying at the last round, if no one has doubled it, everything
it will automatically double.
Okay, yeah. But then you guys are both able to snap to then cause it to 4 and then go to 8.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't so you can snap before turn 6 and during turn 6.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so then is there only? I thought there was only 6 rounds.
There is 6 rounds.
Okay. So you're saying
So it's
after?
like this during. It's during. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, the way it works, okay, is start of turn 1. Players each play their cards. Okay. And turn 1, you have a total of 1 power to spend or 1 mana. Okay. Turn 2, you have 2, and so on and so forth. Okay. So players choose to play their cards. Okay. And then whoever has priority, if you look, they're at the top of the screen. Okay, are the players' names. Whoever's name is highlighted in yellow, it's technically who's ahead. Whoever is ahead, their cards will resolve first. So both players essentially play their cards face down.
Okay. All right. That's
So
what
each
it is.
player plays their cards face down. Okay, and then so essentially I place my card where I want to play it. I hit done. Okay. When my opponent hits done, both cards are then placed at the same time. And then whoever has priority will resolve first. Their card will flip first, the card will resolve, and then it will go to the other player. Their card will flip, and then their card will resolve.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I have until once the turn clock essentially starts, until I hit end.
I see.
You have that time to snap. So you
Okay.
can do that on the last turn.
Gotcha. All right. Completely understood now. I thought it was more of like, oh, we reveal everything gets resolved. We're still in turn 6 right before the game's over, and we know who wins. I snap, and then we get like double the amount.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Yeah, you have to make that wager before things are revealed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
I haven't played this game yet,
Yeah.
guys.
And we're gonna do a video where Jim plays it for the first time.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people talking about this game.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do that. It's pretty soon. So anyway, okay. So that's a pretty good explanation of how the game works. Okay. Now, Marvel Snap is a free-to-play model. Okay, it is a free-to-play game. There are microtransactions for in-game currencies that can be used to upgrade your cards or purchase variants, or essentially alt arts.
Yeah, the 8-bit cards. I like those.
There's a lot of different variants of cards throughout the game. Okay. Now, Marvel Snap last year won Best Mobile Game at the 2022 Game Awards. Okay. Yeah. So it came out in October, and then won Best Mobile Game in December. I mean, this game has taken
It's taken over.
it's taken over for the most part. Okay. Okay. So that's the overview. That's like the 10,000-foot view of Marvel Snap. Okay. Okay. So real quick. So I don't really want to touch on the monetization issues. Like, there's been a lot of people who've talked about the monetization issues. I feel like anytime you talk about a free-to-play game, there's going to be a lot of people who complain about how it's monetized. Okay.
Yep.
There's never, my view, like, I don't think there's one right way to monetize a free-to-play game. Okay. I mean, I'm very much a free market person, and I think like each company has their, they can run their company how they see fit. Now, I think if you do something as a company that like is like unethical or doesn't seem right, as you've all seen, the community, the internet will light you up, which is how it should happen, right? Now, I don't see that happening here. I haven't seen that happening, but granted, I haven't really dug into it. For the most part, like when I look at the shop, there's stuff that $100 gets you this. I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not sinking that kind of money into this, right? But I'm also like, I get it. Like, there's gonna be people who buy it, and there's gonna be people who complain about it because they think it's too much. Which, I mean, dude, $100 for a lot of in-game currency, like, yeah, that's a good chunk of change, right? But I just don't buy that stuff. I just try to, typically the way I play these free-to-play games is I just try and grind. And I think Marvel Snap really does, it gives you that opportunity to be the grinder because the games are so short. So I think the opportunity is there. They've made quite a few decisions when it comes to monetization that are just like odd and weird, right? So like anytime you have a free to play, and I feel like all these free to play games for the most part are like the same, because there's like 10 different types of in-game currency and they each do different things. So like for Marvel Snap, you have card boosters, you have gold, and then you now have tokens. I think those are the three currencies. I'm probably gonna have to pull it up here on my phone here in a little bit, but
Dude,
I think there's three.
Huge in the MMO community.
It is so
big.
Yeah, any game where
so like while you're just talking about this, I'm just thinking about all the other stuff games I've seen in the past like 2 years, and I'm just like, I just can't right now.
I know. Yeah, like I mean, Blizzard received I never played Diablo Immortal.
Oh my goodness, dude.
I did not play Diablo Immortal, but all I knew is like...
Do you know how much money they made on that in the first week?
How much money they made?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
$50 million off of it in the first week.
They made $50
million?
Dude,
it was ridiculous.
They made $50 million?
Yeah. Mind you. They made, I think it was...
What? What is going on?
They made 3 or 4 times the amount that they made in the first week in comparison to... subscriptions for World of Warcraft.
Okay, but then...
Or my bad, how much money they made from World of Warcraft. It was only like 12 mil or something.
But why are people surprised then when companies use these models? Because they know they're going to make money.
I know.
And like we talked about it when we talked about the Dungeons & Dragons OGL. What's the best thing you can do as a consumer? Vote with your wallet. Just don't buy it.
Yeah, but people are.
I know.
But people
are, and they complain about it.
I don't know if the people who are buying it are the ones complaining. They might be.
That's true. That's fair.
It's just how small in comparison to the total population that are playing this game. It is not even close to enough people.
I know.
It's not close.
I know.
If you piss off 10% of your population in the game because of the microtransactions, okay, that other 90% is going to be like, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
They're also not looking. They're not watching the videos for this stuff to get upset about it, and they're just like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is fine." Yeah, there's so many messed up things going on with microtransactions that I don't want to get into right now.
Well, we're getting into it.
We're kind of getting into it.
But it's funny though. Like when I'm making this outline, I just had one little blurb about monetization. And it's like, we're not really going to touch on it, but it's like it's almost like how can you not a little bit, because it's.
Tell me how loot boxes aren't gambling.
They 100% are.
They are.
They 100% are.
Tell me why certain games are using in-game premium currencies to where, let's say you need 200.
Wait.
200 to buy something, but you can only buy it in increments of 150. So now you have to buy 2 of them. Something that should have cost you $20, now costing you $30.
Hang on. Explain to me how booster boxes and booster packs aren't gambling.
They are. I've been saying it for a while, dude.
They are, dude. And that's why it's like the card game community, for the most part, accepts it on some level.
Yeah.
There's like, what line? What's the line where card game players are like, all right, you've crossed it. You can't do that.
Oh, we know the line.
What's the line? What is it?
The 30th anniversary for Magic the Gathering packs. That is the line, Dan.
Well, yeah, because there are booster packs in there.
Yeah,
it's
that's
booster
the line.
packs of proxies.
That's all right, and most of the community has that's the line. But some people bought those.
Well, so that product was very interesting because I think the majority of the community said that was a bad product. Yeah. And how dare you, Wizards? Essentially, okay. But there was another part of the community that they weren't complaining about it, but they said clearly that if this product isn't for you, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are you going to have a problem with it? Like it's clearly not for you. Like it's like, but and like to an extent, like I agree with it to an extent, right? I think. Oh man, see, this is interesting. Like
apparently the product's for no one.
Well, right. That's the thing. Like, who is this for?
Yeah.
Like who is? But at the same time, we just talked about making $50 million first. Was it first week?
Yeah, it was the first week for the
What
game.
are they going to care if they make that amount of money off of like 10% of the entire community? Like 10% of the community buys it, but they're making like I don't know what the sales are. I don't know what the sales are, but like you see what I mean? Like again,
I get it.
It's weird. I mean, it's really interesting. It is very, very interesting. So, needless to say, there has been, always will be talks about monetization issues. I'm just going to say issues because like people have issues with the way certain companies decide to profit and make money.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's kind of like 3 different sections of how you can like monetize the game. You have box price, subscription, and microtransactions.
Are we talking about Marvel Snap?
Just games in general.
Say that one again.
You have box price, subscription fees.
Physical products.
Yes.
Okay. Subscriptions to
and
whatever.
Microtransactions.
For digital. For digital services.
Yeah, but
products.
if it's a video game, like you could have either the box price for it to then get it and then play it.
Right.
You either download it.
You buy the box, which in the box there's a piece of paper with a code on it, so you can go home and download it.
That's how it is now. And then you have the subscription.
Boxes,
so then it's like free to download.
The season pass. Like the season pass type thing.
Yeah, I guess. Does that like kind of be...
That's part of it.
Yeah, that could be like subscription based.
Okay,
but then also...
so for those of you watching, there's a spider right behind you. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to... I'm going to let it be. For those of you listening, there was a spider on the wall right behind Jim.
Molly.
Crawling up. Out of the corner of my eye, I see something. I'm like, what is going on? That's a big spider. I like to keep spiders around because they eat all the other bugs.
Look, I like them to be outside of the house.
I do, but it depends on how I'm feeling that day. Like if I'm feeling like I'm okay, then I'll just be like, you know what, dude, I'm gonna let you go. I will let you eat all the other bugs in the house. But if I'm having not a good day, I'll just kill it because I can stomp them.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I get you.
So anyway, what were you saying? The box price, subscription, and then microtransactions.
Yeah, it's kind of like the 3 different ways to be able to.
Yeah.
Now, if you have all 3 of those for your game, I think there's something wrong here.
Well, it's interesting though. Like I'm interested. Let's see what happens in 5 years. Yeah. Let's see how things look in 5-10 years. Like, well, but it's interesting because I mean, but you remember when we were kids, like if you wanted to buy a video game, I remember going to Toys R Us and buying the Sega Genesis cartridge, right? That's the only way you could play the game.
Yep.
And that's the only way the company could make money, right? Is they had to manufacture these cartridges and then you could sell them, right? The only way they can make money. But now with the advent of technology and the digital revolution, there's so many more ways.
I think we're going to be getting into the point of NFTs for it.
I mean, we kind of already are.
It is pretty much like year 0, year 1 for it in terms of for video gaming.
Well, and I'm interested to see how these communities are going to react because like right now, I feel like the overwhelming majority, maybe not majority, but I should say the overwhelming voice, the loudest, the people speaking the loudest are the detractors of NFTs. And like for the most part, a lot of people don't like it for whatever reason. Okay. Everyone's got their own reasons for why they don't like it. Okay. But I will be interested to see how the market shifts in the next like 5 years to see how many of these digital companies fully embrace NFTs, right?
Square Enix is all about it. They're looking to do a lot of stuff with it.
And so the only thing I'm going to say about this and the issue that I've always had with digital music and digital anything is if I have music or a game or whatever and it lives in somebody else's platform, what's going to happen when that platform goes under and they prevent you from being able to download it or even access it? Because there's been plenty of services where you can download it, but you can't even access this unless you are hooked up to the internet and then that server can verify your identity, essentially. Okay. If they go under, I can't watch my movie. I can't listen to the music that I got. If I And that's
in theory, it's still there until someone like makes something for you to be able to access it.
Right. But still, I don't own it, like in the sense of it's not mine to do with what I want, let alone like not sell it even sell it or anything. And that's why I had always advocated for physical product. If you want a Blu-ray, go buy the Blu-ray, go buy now the 4K Ultra HD disc, go buy the CD, the physical CD. That way you have the physical disc. Dude, I've got binders upon binders over there on my entertainment center full of Blu-rays and discs throughout the years. Okay. And then if I wanted them digital, what did I do? I'd rip them to my personal server. That way I could watch it when I wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. What's going to happen now when these servers go under and these companies go under? You can't access your stuff. And that's why. So when the whole NFT thing came along, it's yours. You own it. Well, yeah, like, that just made sense to me. It made sense in my head.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, that's what I thought we were talking. Not like the digital stuff under like a certain website. And okay. That's where you were at. Yes. I was in the NFT space. Okay,
right. And that's why I say I'd always advocated for that. So that's why NFTs just make sense.
Yeah.
In the way that I think about it.
Yeah.
And I get not everybody agrees. That's okay. You know, people view things differently. Are there scammers out there? Yes. So everyone, guys, like if you're watching this and you know you've thought about NFTs or you don't like them, we always advocate, be careful. Don't believe everything that a salesman says, because they're probably lying to you. For the most part, you really got to do your research. And that's why, like, anytime a salesman comes, like at work, right? If there's a salesman comes through my door, I'm just like, there's the door. Please just go. I don't want what you're selling. And it's, just be careful. Just be careful, be wise, be prudent. So I don't know how we got talking about that.
I don't know.
All right. We talked about the monetization.
That's how we got
there. That's how we got there, guys. Okay. All right. Okay. Collection levels. So, the way the game kind of gives you new stuff. Okay, before we talk about that, let's talk about this. So there was no way to purchase cards that you did not have in your collection that you want. Okay, so when the game launched, they gave you a certain amount of cards. I can't remember how many it was. It might have been like 24 or something. I can't remember. They weren't very good, okay? It's just like the cards that you got, okay? The way you unlocked more was you play the game, okay? Now, the token shop was recently introduced, and we'll touch on that here in a second, okay? But the way you unlock cards was you played the game. So the more you play the game, the more you unlocked more cards. Now, so it was like all these things play into itself, okay? You play your cards, and then the cards that you play, you earn boosters for. So each card has boosters for each card, okay? Right. And then you upgraded the cards from like level 0, level 1 to infinite. So I can't remember how many different levels there are, but essentially what it is you're upgrading the cards, and all you're really doing is you're upgrading the artwork. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So like the base card is like a bordered card, and then there's like no special treatment. The next step up is frame break. So the character comes out of the frame a little bit. Then it does like 3D, then another special treatment. It's all these different visual treatments, okay? Until you fully max out that card.
And it's pure gold.
What do you mean it's pure gold?
The card, it turns into a pure gold card.
So infinite is like, it's 3D, frame break, and then there's like some frame animation to it, and then the next. So once you get infinite, you can upgrade that card. So you get an additional copy of that card, okay, but now with a different art treatment. So the next one is it's kind of like a rainbow foil. Is kind of like what it is. Okay. So it's the character, but behind the character, all the background art is replaced with like it's a rainbow twirl essentially. Okay. And then you went through that same process of upgrading that card until you got infinite. And then you got another copy with another different art style. Okay. All right. So as you play, you get boosters. You use the boosters to upgrade the cards. Okay. And as you upgrade those cards, your collection level rises. So each time you go from rank, the next rank for each card, it costs you however many boosters, and then a certain amount of, it's not gold. There's two things that cost you. But it's basically boosters, like boosters for that card. Okay. And so once you upgrade it, then you get collection points. So your collection level goes up, okay? And then every certain level in the early stages, every like 10 levels, or maybe it was like 5, you would get a new card. Completely random, okay? So it's a random card that you get that you do not have gets added to your collection. Okay? Okay, you upgrade your cards, okay? The higher you are in collection level, like for example, right now my collection level is like 2100, 2100, something like that. There's a certain point where you stop getting new cards, okay? You basically replace these cards with loot boxes is basically what it is. They're called collector's reserves. Okay. And I don't know what the pull rates essentially are for cards or boosters, because there's multiple different things you can get. It's not necessarily going to be cards.
Right.
Okay. So where I'm at now, it's like every 12 levels, every 12 collection level is you get a collector reserve. Okay. So it's like every time I get to a new collection level, all I just do is I just upgrade the cards that I have. That way I can just keep upping my collection level, and then in hopes of getting cards that I don't have. Okay. So that's kind of like where I'm at, right? Yeah. So again, collector reserves are basically loot boxes. Okay. So that's kind of how the whole collection level thing is. It's take your collection, play with the cards that you have in hopes of earning the new cards that you don't have. Okay. Now throughout the shop is updated on a day-to-day basis. In the shop, there are six variants of cards that you do have that are already in your collection. Okay. So you can get an essentially alternate art card of a card already in your collection, and you have to use gold. Okay. So that's another in-game currency which you can actually buy. Okay, so you can buy the gold, and then you can turn gold into boosters. That's right. So there's two kinds of boosters. You have the boosters that you need to upgrade the cards, but then each card has their own boosters. Yeah, exactly. Right?
Okay.
Right? So you can buy the one thing you can buy in game is gold. And then you take the gold and do with it what you will. Okay. All right. So that is basically how you upgrade your collection. Okay. And the way you do that is just play the game. There's really no way of just outright buying all this gold and then unlocking these cards until they introduce a token shop. They introduced another in-game currency. And what happens is, I think it's like every 8 hours. It's every 6 hours or every 8 hours.
And you can spend tokens to go ahead and refresh that timer, can't you?
No, not refresh the timer.
Okay.
So basically
or not refresh the timer, but like go to the next whatever.
No.
Oh, really?
No. So the way it works,
I'm actually happy about that.
I think I don't know if it's every 6 hours or if it's every 8 hours. Okay. The token shop refreshes, and it's only one card. It's only one card. Okay. So it will show you one card that's not in your collection that you can buy with tokens. Okay. Now, if you don't have enough tokens in your wallet, essentially, you can pin that card. So when you pin that card, when the token shop refreshes, it will not change. So that card will stay there until you want to purchase it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's like if you see that leader card, you just like pin that thing until you can buy it.
I already have leader, but yeah,
right, yeah, but in general,
yes, in general, correct. So, so they recently, I mean, I don't know how long it's been since they introduced that. So, but the way the cards work is they're broken out into like series. So series 1 is like commons. Series 2 is like, I think so it's series 1 through series 5. Series 5 are like the rarest cards that you can pull from these collector's reserves, essentially. Okay. Then you have series 4, series 3, series 2, series 1. As time goes on, cards move from the higher series down to the lower series. Okay. So basically, as you're working through your collection, you most likely are going to pull those series 1 and series 2 cards. Okay.
Okay.
And the way it worked before was you would go through all of the series 1 until you were able to unlock series 2 cards, and then so on and so forth. So where I'm at in my collection is I have all series 1, I have all series 2, and I'm working on series 3 because series 3 is like really, really, really big. Okay. So as they introduce new cards, typically they'll put them at series 4, series 5. And then as they bring in more cards, what's in 4 and 5 will go to the next lowest series, essentially. Okay. So that's how they've dealt with new cards and as players unlock cards. Okay. So, that's like kind of the basis of how all the systems work. Okay. That's how collections essentially work. Okay. Now, I think here the intent of the game collection system was for players to use cards that are in their collection, they're already in their collection, and build decks around them rather than just buy certain cards that they want to add to their collection. I think the intent was, again, as card game players, we have all these collections. I have a bunch of cards that are just laying out over there, okay? The intent is, hey, I've got all these cards in my collection. If I want to play the game, I have to just build decks with what's in my collection. And as I play, as I build more decks, I upgrade these cards, build my collection, and then grow the collection. Instead of, I'm going to throw as much money as I can to unlock all the cards and then go about it that way. Okay. I think that was the initial intent. Okay. Now, the first thing I have written down here is I think there's always going to be cards in our collection that just sit and don't get used. I mean, like if you think about it, when you buy booster packs, like what normally are you looking at? Commons, those are all garbage. Let's see if I have any.
All garbage,
usually, okay? Unless you play Pop. Unless you're playing Pop.
Then it's a bad format, right?
But like that's why I like formats like Pauper, right? Because it's there's all these cards here. Let's find ways to play with these cards. Okay. Normally you're like, all right, let me look at the uncommons and then that rare slot. And then I can go to constructed. Unless you're playing limited. That's why all these different formats exist. Right. So yeah, like
sometimes these formats might not be for you.
Well, yes, exactly.
That's
exactly.
Okay.
Right. And again, and that's a good point. And I think, it brings us into what we're talking about. Okay. Okay. The next thing I have written down, I think the intent here was to not have that meaning just there being cards that are just sitting, not being used in your collection. In some way, you're slowly building your collection. And as you slowly add new cards, you build decks around those new cards that get added to your collection. Okay. The last thing I have written down here, and then we're going to kind of open this conversation up here, but the last thing I have written down is there will always be a metagame, and players will always look to beat the metagame. Okay. So, I think that is the one thing that this entire system, I don't want to say, doesn't take into account, but it doesn't take it into account. I'm not sure of another way to say it because I think all the designers are extremely smart to know that there's going to be a metagame, right? But I think most card game players, when they're looking at a game or a format, the first thing they look is, okay, what's being played in the meta? How can I counter the meta? Oh, the multiple ways to counter the meta are not in my collection. Well, what am I going to do?
It's either counter the meta or play the meta.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you can't do either, well, what are you going to do?
Now you're grinding until you can get to counter the meta or play the meta.
Exactly. So I think that's the one thing. And I have seen players, I've seen Twitter going on and on about stuff like this. Well, how can I play? I don't have any of these cards.
I can't even play the game. No, you can't. You can play it. You just don't want to play it how they are kind of telling you to play it right now.
Yes, exactly. Or
how you need to play it at the start.
Right. So, I admire what Ben Brode has done and how he has designed this. And like, I'm not like, I fully respect that. Like, I think, I mean, he's designing in the space and he's like really pushing the boundaries of like what a digital card game can do. Yeah. Like we're talking about 3-minute games here, but that's like superficial stuff. Like the way that he has designed this in building your collection is interesting. A lot of people don't like it, but honestly, I don't like it. There's times where it's frustrating, but I think what I'm going to say this before I get to my question for you here. I think it's very interesting because like it really does force players to it really brings in theory crafting to the forefront because you have to think about what is in your collection and how can I best beat my opponent, right? So the first thing I want to ask you
real quick.
Yeah.
So with you just saying that reminded me of our last a conversation we had with some people online talking about how Disney Lorcana will be 2 colors. And they're like, oh, yeah, it goes for more creativity.
Yeah.
And Dan was like, what are you talking about?
You're not wrong, dude. You're not wrong.
Like literally that.
Yeah. And but again, like it's very interesting
but
because it makes you think.
Yeah.
It really does make you think about figuring out different and new ways to solve these problems. Yep. And so that's you bring up a good point because now that I'm thinking about it, because what did I say? Like my initial thing was where my brain initially went was, how does you limiting what I can do, like making me more creative? Yeah. Well, it kind of does, like because because it's forcing you to think in certain ways. Mm-hmm. Because I think if you're given even as a deck builder, free reign, so many of us are just stuck in certain ruts and we have certain ways of going about it, and we're just going to follow them, right? It's not until we're forced to think a certain way that is not necessarily a way in which we normally like to think, like that's how we're going to think that way. Yep. So, okay, good point. So what the first thing I wanted to ask you was, like, what's your take on a game that doesn't let you build out your collection the way you want, and the way you get more stuff is grinding?
Now, all right, if we're asking me,
asking me, asking you.
I'd be mad. I'd be kind of mad, dude. Because I'm too far gone into this space, you know? Right. I'm just like, I want to have my cards that I know I want to have.
Right.
But, okay, big but. I do kind of like sometimes being not like forced, but kind of pushed towards looking at specific cards or specific ways on how to play a game. Yeah. Right. And it was kind of an argument I had for why I like standard a few years ago.
Okay.
It's because it was like a lot of people didn't like it because, you know, it forces you to play certain things. Yeah, it's like you might not want to do.
Right.
But it also pushes you into playing things that you don't know if you like or not.
Right. Yeah.
And you know, if you're trying to play the meta, there could be a deck that you just really like to play.
Yeah.
Right? When like Yorion was in standard, I thought the dude was like absolutely crazy. And then it eventually got to the point for even modern. I'm like, all right, this is actually kind of sick, and I wish I played Yorion in standard.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like all the different
play Yorion in standard?
I played it a little bit on Arena.
Dude, it was sick, man.
Yeah, and I was like trying to build it in on paper, and like just the fact of being able to bounce those enchantments that were like, oh, when it ETBs deal 2 damage, and like the other one where it's like make a 1/1 or drain or whatever it was, and just like getting a bunch of value from them. I'm like, all right, that seems so much fun, and I'd love to do it.
Yeah,
and you know, I didn't play it in standard because I was just like kind of getting out of it. But that's one of those decks where it's like, oh, I don't want to play it because I really like this old deck. But these are some really cool cards as well that you just don't think about playing. So for me personally, I would prefer to be able to buy the cards that I know I would like as well, on top of being able to now earn cards that I wouldn't normally go after.
Okay. Why?
Like, what does why for which one?
Both of them.
Okay.
Because part of me is like, what does it matter? Because there's one key area where I think it does matter, and we'll talk about that in a second. But for what you just said, like, what does that necessarily matter? Because it's not like we're talking about anything competitive. It's just the way you're talking about, more of the way you would prefer to enjoy the game, right?
Yes.
Okay. So outside of that, it's because both of your
outside
answers,
of me enjoying the game, what is my answer?
Would you play the game more if you could do that?
Ooh.
Because I think
if I could buy my cards?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think there's an argument to be had where if the model is forcing you to play in order to unlock the cards you don't have, would make you play more versus you getting burnt out and not playing the game as much if you could just buy the cards that you wanted.
Yeah. But now I guess that comes down to the argument of, all right, is that like a game play problem, or is that I was just able to buy my cards and there wasn't anything like really keeping me invested into it?
I think by limiting somebody from buying the cards outright, you're eliminating one of those things, right? Because if it's not fun, they're not going to play it regardless.
Yeah. If you absolutely just hate the cards you're playing with, and it happens a lot, especially for me, if like I'm just not having fun with stuff, I do not want to play it. I'll just refuse to.
Well, what's more ethical? Like I just had this thought, like, what's more ethical? You like having a system set up to where you playing it let you unlock it, and then by playing it, you find out you don't like the game, or spending all this money up front, and then after the same amount of time, you don't like it, but now you've already spent all this money. Like, part of me is like, it's kind of better for forcing the players to have to play, and then that way, if they don't like the game, they just stop. That way, they're not out.
Which is why I think there should be like kind of both.
Okay.
Right. So like being able to buy your cards.
I'm playing devil's advocate. We're just trying to think about all these different lines,
I also think that if your monetization is through microtransactions in store stuff, there should definitely be a free to play thing, right?
Well, yeah,
especially to start,
for sure.
Because if it's like, say, I need to spend $60, $50, $40, whatever it is, to be able to play the game, right, and then I'm just like, all right, well, I don't like it,
right.
Steam is like, all right, well, you got 2 hours to play the game, and if you don't like it, then refund it,
right.
So if it's a setup like that, then. But, all right, my bad. So if it's set up to where it's free to play, and now I have the option to buy specific cards that I want, along with being able to earn the cards that, not really that I don't want, but it's more of things that I'm not prioritizing, right? It's like, oh, this is a cool card, but I don't want to spend like $5 on it,
right?
You know, and I'll just wait till I unlock it. I'll get like these 2 cards that I really like the combo with, 3 cards, whatever it is,
right?
I do think being able to first play the game, see how it is, and if you like the base mechanics of it, you find some cool cards that you really like, you know, or whether it's for art purposes or gameplay purposes, you just go ahead, buy them, continue playing the game, especially with 2-3 cards that you like, and now you can start progressing and unlocking more stuff.
Right.
I think there should be both models.
Yeah. No, I get you. I think the one area where this really gets to be an issue is competitive play. From the outset, I have been thinking, like, how in the world is competitive going to work? I think at base, and they probably do this on every card game, is players get access to the entire card pool, right? But the interesting thing is, if you don't have those cards in your collection, and like there's no way of 100% knowing, like, at a certain collection level, you're going to have all the cards in the game, right? So because that's not there, like, how are competitive players supposed to, and again, we have no idea what like the competitive scene is going to look like, because you can guarantee that there's going to be a competitive scene for this game. 100%. 100%. Okay. So I think that's where this conversation really gets interesting. So like, how are players, teams going to be able to properly prep for these competitive events, competitive tournaments?
Yeah.
And then how are people, how are, I mean, I guess I'll just say people, but how are
$100 by the set.
how are other outfits gonna run tournaments?
Yeah.
Like if they want to give, again, and I think the only way you can do it is give everyone access to all the cards.
Yeah.
But if you're not second dinner, how are you going to get access to everything for your players, essentially?
Yeah.
Now, again, like game was just released, and they have a roadmap for what they're going to do with like features they want to get added to the game. So I don't have that in front of me. I'm not totally sure what it looks like, what it is. But like these are just things that we're just like really thinking about. And like when you talk about digital card games, there's so many things that you start talking about that you would otherwise not talk about if it is a physical card game.
Yep.
And this is one of them. I mean, I guess, you do talk about even in physical card games, how do you get all the cards for preparation terms? You just buy them.
You just proxy them
too, yeah.
And then figure out what cards you want, and then buy those cards for a tournament.
Yeah, right. Or have your sponsor buy them.
Yeah, if you got a sponsor. Most people won't.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So I don't. What's your thought? Do you have any thoughts when it comes to competitive? Because I don't know. I don't know.
I first saw, I'm like, why does a game have to be competitive?
Did I say it has to?
No.
I don't think it has to.
No.
But it's 100%
You were just
going
saying
to.
like it's going to be. I'm like,
It's
why does it
100% going
have
to.
to be though?
It is 100%. Because I know we both know how card game players are.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you know Disney Villainous is a competitive card game?
Hey, speaking of Villainous, I just saw before we started recording this, there was a new Marvel Villainous expansion added, and it was like about time. So that's exciting. Not for him, but for me. I'm excited. Was it Doc Ock, Titania, and
Kang or Kong?
Kang the Conqueror.
Okay.
Kang the Conqueror. You got both sounds in there. Kong and Kang. Kang the Conqueror, yeah.
Okay.
King Kong. King Kong ain't got nothing on me. You know what that's from?
Malibu's Most Wanted.
That is not from Malibu's Most Wanted.
It actually is, but
Is it?
yes.
For real? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's like on top of a car or something and like starts shooting guns or something. It's towards the end and he yells that out.
Huh.
Yeah.
I know that from a different movie.
Okay. I'm like, I know I'm correct. I could show it to you.
So the movie, oh my goodness, why can't I think of the name? It's with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. Training Day. There we go. That's what it's from.
Okay.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, because Denzel, have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Denzel Washington's a cop. Okay. And Ethan Hawke is a rookie. Okay. Denzel Washington is a corrupt cop. Okay. So he's in with all these gangs, and then at the end, everybody turns on him because Denzel was basically trying to throw Ethan Hawke under the bus. Ethan Hawke calls him out for the corrupt cop that he is, and gets all these gang people around him to shoot him, or to kill him, right?
Yeah.
And so Denzel's just like, you gonna shoot me? You gonna shoot a cop? King Kong ain't got nothing on me. Great movie. It's such a good movie, dude. Such a good
Spoilers,
movie.
man.
Bro, if you haven't seen this movie, which I guess I'm talking to you.
Yes. Me.
Good movie. You should go watch it. Have you ever seen American History X?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that movie. Such a good movie.
Such a
good movie. If you've never seen it, go watch it. Go look it up. Such a good movie. You got to get past that first scene. Great movie, though. Such a good movie.
Great movie.
So good, man. I cried at the end of that movie.
I love the ending.
So do I. But I cried at the end of that movie. It's so emotional at the end. Anyway, yeah, good movies. So, Marvel Snap. So the whole collection thing and how you unlock cards, it just runs very counterintuitive to what most card game players would think in any card game, right? It's definitely not what you're used to in playing a card game. And some people are going to like it. Some people aren't going to like it. But what I will say, after having this conversation, I'm a fan of what the design philosophy is and how it makes you think about looking at your collection and like just evaluating the cards that you have. Just find ways to play the cards that you already have in your collection. So I like that. I really, really, really do like that about the game. So, all right. Well, with that, we're going to talk about Card of the Week.
Yay.
Card of the Week. Card of the Week. It's weird. Yeah.
That we're not going.
I'm gonna, dude. I want to sample that audio.
It's not even good.
I know it's not
good. I don't want to use it.
What we need to do is we just need
weird. You're weird. You're weird.
Not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. He is not wrong. What I should do is we should just figure out what our jingle is, okay, and then just get it up on the stream deck and just go boom and just play it. Yeah, we do need to find Jake. Thank you for giving us the idea. Hey, we won't use that one, okay? All right,
okay.
We won't use it.
Okay,
I'm gonna use it, guys. Anyway. All right, today's card of the week. Today's card of the week is another card from DC Deck Builder, the DC Comics Deck Builder. So when we first played with this card, I'm like, I could not believe.
At first, I thought the card was stupid.
Like stupid, like terrible stupid?
Yeah. All right. I was not prioritizing this card at all.
Yes.
It sat out on the field for a while. We didn't care about it.
Right.
Until you picked it up.
and then used it.
I'm just like, this card is so good.
All right. So the card is Zookeeper. So Zookeeper is a 2-cost villain, has 1 victory point, and has the effect ongoing defense. You may discard this card from play to avoid an attack. It seems so innocuous, but the one, like from the base set, okay, the one thing, I think the first thing is card draw. There's not a lot of card draw in the first set, okay? But when they introduced attacks, okay, when there's attacks, and there are ways to defend against those attacks, which 100% rely on you having those cards in your hand to be able to utilize those cards. It feels terrible when at the end of your turn, you have a defense card in your hand and you don't get to use the defense. Okay. You know something's going to come, but it's not necessarily coming even the next turn. Or if you know it's coming the next turn, you're like, no, I have it now. Can I just hold on to it? So you discard it, and you're like, oh shoot! And then you draw your hand size. No defense card.
No defense.
Now I am at the mercy of whatever the attack is.
Yep.
So when you have a card that just sits out on board in front of you,
just stays there
until you can use it. I mean, for only 2. I don't care about I don't care about not drawing a card, because on a lot of the defense cards, it was discard this card from your hand and then do some effect.
Yeah.
Draw 1, draw 2, put a
you're
card
also
from discard.
deck thinning for your future turns, as long as it's just chilling out on the field.
So I think though, when we talk about deck building games, is deck thinning even important?
Yes.
How so?
Well, I mean, we talk about the starter cards. We talk about throwing the weakness cards into it as well. Being able to thin your deck as much as possible.
But you're not. But you're not thinning it though, because once you don't have a deck, you now have an entire deck again.
Yeah. Yes, I know. But I'm saying, like, if you are going to reshuffle your graveyard back into put it back into your deck zone, and that card's still out on field, you are then it's a deck thin.
Okay. I'm probably misunderstanding the argument here.
Okay.
So what is your argument then?
I'm just saying deck thinning is good.
In general, yes. Like in general, yes. In general, deck thinning is good. But I think when we talk about deck thinning just as a term and as a mechanic, essentially, I think it should be evaluated differently in a game where, because in a normal TCG and a normal CCG, you have your entire deck and you never go through your entire deck, right?
Yeah.
You're taking out your, again, like normally when we're talking about deck thinning, typically you're talking about removing your lands, your resources from your draw cards and get those cards on the field.
Well, you're just removing cards, but yes.
Right.
It doesn't have to be specifically lands, but it's just any form of deck thinning is in theory good.
And so, but the other thing too is when you talk this, this is going to be like a whole other topic for a whole other episode. Because now
we're not even talking about card of the week.
I know we're not. So one second, we're going to get back to
great.
This. Card's great. When you talk about Commander, a singleton format, how it like. Again, I think you have to evaluate deck thinning very differently then, because you have singleton. It's a singleton format, right? And then you have your lands, but then all your other cards that, your cards in 99. Well, all your other cards. So, because typically when I think deck thinning, we're talking about a format where there's 60 cards, multiple copies of the cards, and then you're removing the lands to get to the cards that really matter, right? Like what other, like why else is deck thinning good then?
All right. Well, all right.
We'll get back to the card of the week, I swear.
All right. If we're talking about just deck thinning in Commander, right?
Yeah.
Is it easier to get the card to finish a combo that you need for 80 cards, or is it easier to get with 50 cards in the deck?
Well, yeah, the one where there's less, right? Sure.
So like you're trying to get closer to these cards that you're needing, which is the same argument of if you get rid of a bunch of the stuff in your deck that is not good, now you're adding more consistency in the deck. So specifically for the deck builder, if you get rid of all the garbage in the deck, right? And especially, so you're deck thinning it, you're giving you more consistent, more powerful turns
to get to the thing that you really need.
Yeah,
sure, okay.
And I'm talking about in general deck thinning setup
principle. The principle, right?
For the deck building game, right? You want to get rid of as much of the bad stuff, all the fluff,
sure,
and now you have nothing but your really powerful cards left.
Sure, okay.
So you're deck thinning,
right, okay, all right. So Zookeeper is deck thinning.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because when he's out on board, he stays there.
Yeah, he doesn't get shuffled in.
He stays there where you want him.
Yes,
he stays there. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, you're right. You're spot on.
Yeah,
you're 100% spot on. Yeah. All right,
we got there,
guys. Yeah, no, definitely Zookeeper. Yeah, deck thinning. Yeah. Again, Zookeeper is such a good card. I think that is such undercosted. Like for two,
and not to mention it is also 1 VP, which is needed.
Normal. Which is normal.
Yeah, it's normal, but like normally you don't ever pay 2 for cards. That's where it's a little bit more tricky.
Say that again.
You normally aren't paying 2 or like whatever the resource is in this game, power. For a card. To then that also gives you a VP.
Yeah, they pretty much are. The only cards that don't have 1 VP, well, at least 1 VP are starter cards.
Yes.
And then the weaknesses.
Yeah.
Everything else has at least 1 VP.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying the cost power to VP ratio. Like there's not a lot of 2-drop cards in the game for you to then just get 1 VP for it.
Oh, yeah, there's not a ton. Yeah, there's not a ton. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And honestly, like I feel like a lot of the cards that do cost 2 aren't that great. Well, the Nth Metal, I think from base set, I think that costs 2. So that's
Is
another.
it 2?
I think. Let me. Yeah.
Metal.
I don't know. I don't even know.
To reveal off top of your deck and maybe destroy?
Yeah.
Is it 2? The card seems too powerful for 2.
Maybe it is. I'm
ENTH?
pulling it up. I'm pulling it up. Yeah.
Or NTH.
Oh, it costs 3.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, it
I'm like,
costs
there's
3.
no way it costs 2.
It costs 3, and you get +1 power off of that card too. So yeah, that costs 3.
Yeah, that's a good card too.
Yeah,
which
and
we've talked about.
Zookeeper only costing 2 is real. Oh wow, for that's really good. So yeah, you look at that ratio.
Yep.
2 to 1 or 3 to 1.
Sure, the 3 to 1 gives you extra stuff.
Yeah,
but you're paying.
You don't, but again, deck thinning. You have it out on board.
Yeah,
you play it the one time.
Yeah. You play it the one time,
and then you use it when you need it.
It's there when you need it. And the other thing is, you don't even have to use it. If the attack isn't bad, you could just be like, okay, I'll just eat it.
You choose.
Like a villain flips over, it's reveal all the superpowers in your hand. Well, I got none, so that's not a problem.
So that's not. Wow, yeah. Yeah, dude,
it's a choice as well.
Now, this card is from the Teen Titans set. I think this is one of the best cards in the set.
Yeah,
we played this. We played it multiple times. I think it's one of the best cards in the set. I think it is.
We were going to talk about a different card tonight, actually, and then I'm like, nah, dude.
And I had this other card pulled up, and then when he said Zookeeper, I'm like, I have that on the list too, but I'm like. Jim's really wanted to talk about that. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I've got it on the list anyway.
The other one's really good as well, but I'm just like, this card's too nuts, man.
It's really broken.
Yeah.
It really kind of is.
Yeah. For how vanilla this card is, the card's busted.
So true. Dude, so true, man.
Yeah. Like if you're able to find this card in your playthroughs early on, pick it up. You will not be upset.
Well, it's funny. The first time we played that set, okay, like Jim said, it sat out for a little bit, and then we're reading it. And I'm just like, wait, what?
I'm
buying it.
Did your characters do stuff with supervillain or with villains or
not
was
in that first game?
Okay, I didn't remember.
Not in the first
game.
Not in the first game.
Okay.
Yeah, not in that first game.
Were you playing Blue Beetle or someone?
The first game I played Blue Beetle.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, guys, we had some really, really good games.
Yeah.
I'm working through those, and we will get them out. But, it's just that card sat on board,
super cool,
for a while, and then it's just once I read it, it's one of those, your opponent doesn't know what the card does, so you don't want it to be obvious. So you're like, oh, I'm going to keep that to myself.
Yep.
That way I can make sure I get it.
Yep.
Did you end up getting one of those cards that first game, or was I the only one who got it?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. It's been a while.
I don't think there was a lot in there. Maybe 3,
no.
maybe 4.
Yeah.
Of that one card.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Zookeeper from DC Deck Builder is this week's card of the week. If you want to pick up the set, if you want to pick up the Teen Titans set, check the link in our description. And we'll leave our affiliate link down there if you want to go check that out and pick up a copy for yourself. So, all right, that's this week's card of the week and Marvel Snap. All right, if you don't know what we're talking about, if you've never checked out Marvel Snap, go try it out. See if you want, download it, play a few games. Take what we said and just think about it. I'd be interested to know what everyone's thought was. Jim made a lot of good points tonight that I hadn't really thought about myself. But like when you brought up Lorcana and then we talked about the whole deck thing or the ink restriction, it's just like kind of an epiphany. Just bell went off in my head. Like perfect point. So interested to know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Let us know what your thoughts are on the Marvel Snap problem, or if do you think it's not a problem. It's something that's been talked about now for a while online. Be interested to know what you all think. So, all right, Jim, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at Jim Morgan HNH. You
guys can find me on Instagram at _DG Campbell and Twitter _DG Campbell, Instagram Daniel.G.Campbell. There we go. Head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com. Find links, all our social platforms there. You can find links to our YouTube and everything. Go to our website. You can find everything there. All right. So thanks everybody for being here. I had a great time. This is a really fun conversation. I had a lot of fun with this. I was very interested because I'm like, I know Jim hasn't played this, so I think going through all this and just getting his thoughts is going to be really, really interesting. So
and now I refuse to play it. I can't find my cards, Dan.
well-
Where's my leader? Where is it?
yeah. So all right, thanks everybody for being here. A lot of fun. And you know what? Thanks everybody. We'll catch you in the next episode. See you, everybody.
Take care.
Know